Just gonna make sure everything works. I know this is a weird angle. I have my webcam over here, and then I have my camera not on my tripod because it's too far away, and it's like I have to look away so far. So I got the camera right here, and then we've got Ableton over here. Very nice. I need a stream. I have a stream deck. I should at this point get a stream deck, like get it plugged in, and just so I can switch between the views without having to open OBS. That would be so nice. We'll get there. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Is the quality good? Is the quality bad? I just saw someone say, "Oh, the quality." Oh, I'm just gonna run the chat on my phone on the side here, so that I can also see the live chat. All right. Looking good. Yeah. So good day, good evening, or whatever time it is where you are at currently. Today I'm going to show you the first ever plugin that I've had the pleasure to make in collaboration with Lunacy Audio. They've made the whole thing, but the inspiration was an idea I had in one of my YouTube videos from like a couple of years ago. And I actually have like a nice little way to explain how the plugin is actually working for you all to see and understand. Then we're going to look at the plugin. Really quick, volume test for Ableton. How loud is this in comparison to my voice? And can you even hear that? So just got to check if everything's working on your end. Does it sound good? Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? Let me know. It's good. Okay, nice. That's what I like to. A little too quiet. Someone says perfect. Someone says can bring it everything up just a little bit. Okay, cool. I have like -7 here on the master just in case. Probably -5. Nice. Okay, cool. All right. This was something else. This was last night I got bored and I made a little chaotic thing. We can also do that later because it's a fun little pastime where like we just put random modulations on everything in Serum. To create a chaotic patch and then have more effects with random modulations on that to create something like this. But we can look at that in a bit. Let me open up the project where I can explain to you what's going on with this plugin. So again, shout out to Lunacy Audio. Also, the link to the plugin and to my Patreon is in the description. Someone from Lunacy Audio is in the chat too, which is awesome. They can, if you have any questions that I don't answer, you can ask them there too, maybe, if you want to. Will there be more complex, Joe? Yes. Oh yeah, there will be. So, you might remember this video from like a very long time ago where I built some kind of resonator pitch map thing in Ableton, just like from stock, from scratch. Because my idea was, hey, what if you could make like little EQ peaks, you know, that kind of like just accentuate a harmony, like just a single note, kind of like that, and you tuned them to a chord by just putting a bunch of these next to each other, and like all across the frequency spectrum. You would need to use multiple EQs because you only have like 8 peaks in here. And then what if also their like strength, their gain, would react to the volume of the incoming audio, and not just the overall volume, but the volume at this exact frequency where they're sitting. There's a way to do this sort of quickly for demonstrational purposes with ProQ 3 or 4. So here we have... Oh, there's already something on here. Let me just turn that off for now. Here we have a saw wave. And then here is the same thing in ProQ 4. So this is a chord in like E minor. And it's like resonating like this. but I can't like play the notes that are up here. Like I can't like send MIDI to Pro Q4 and move these around with key tracking. But at least what Pro Q4 allows you to do is you can have these react dynamically to the frequencies coming in. So if there was a filter on here, like, let me just do this real quick with a band pass, you can see how these peaks are reacting dynamically to the incoming volume. Oh wait, can't see the screen? Oh, I'm so sorry. No, what a great start to the stream. Should have switched that. Oh god. I need a second screen over here where I can like see what I'm actually doing. What a great start. Okay, so let me repeat this. Back in the day, I had a stream or a YouTube video where I was trying to do a pitch map-ish thing in Ableton with like lots of EQ peaks like this that would accentuate like little notes, like specific notes in like specific scale, like kind of like building a chord out of these peaks, kind of like that. Nope, this one's not correct. And that's a lot of work. And also because you like, in here you're just like limited to 8 points. So you need like lots of EQs. And then the additional idea to make this even cooler was that these wouldn't just be on, these would like react to the incoming volume, like their gain would change depending on how loud the incoming volume is, but also not just the overall volume of what's coming in, but what's coming in exactly at the frequency of where each of these peaks is at. We can simulate that with Pro Q4 over here, where this is like set to an E minor scale kind of chord. And you can see how they're dynamically reacting to the volume in those specific areas where those peaks are at. So they like dynamically react frequency dependent. That's the core principle of Bismuth. Let me just load it up. So I must set this also to E and then to the same scale I just had in Pro Q, but a little higher. So this is the same thing I just did in Pro Q4, but now in this plugin. And we have some like way more controls over how these peaks should work and like their decay time, like how slowly they should be falling back down after they've been triggered. So you get this kind of like release hanging in the air. You have the Q over here, which will just adjust like how pointy each of these little peaks is. So if they're very pointy, it like gets more glassy and more precise, and it gets kind of a little more detuned and a little less intense if we turn the Q down. So that's really nice. And then you have like, first of all, you have your like keys, like your scale control over here, where you can set like your root note, which notes in the scale you would want to have in your chord, where that chord starts, like where that sits on the keyboard. If I set the spread to 0, we can kind of like see in the analyzer down here really nicely where that's being added to the saw wave. And then the spread is just how many additional octaves are going to be added on top or below that octave that you chose. So that way you can like select your range, which is pretty neat. And then with like, let's reduce the Q a little bit, sounds a little more natural. That's neat. Then we've got all this other stuff too. First of all, let's finish with the filter section. You've got like a low cut and a high cut. You can kind of like set the range of where the Bismuth signal the stuff that it adds should be filtered. You have a bit of a tilt filter, like a tilt EQ up here, that either makes like the top end brighter or the low end like louder. And then the scoop kind of like cuts out the area of the original sound that these EQ peaks are filling. I guess like if you had to call this something, because there's like many different, it's technically a resonator. a playable harmonic resonator, but then again, if someone says resonator, you often think like, you know, this metallic sound of like a comb filter, and these are more like individual sine waves that you place basically, because each of these peaks is like so small that it just kind of like sounds as if these were individual sine waves. So it's kind of like a modal resonator, a playable polyphonic modal resonator. It almost feels like an additive synth but it's a filter on top, because additive uses all sine waves, and then you can manipulate the sine waves, and you can do the same thing here. You can manipulate these peaks in so many more ways. Over here in the spacing section, you can get some really freaky stuff with the warp knob. So look back down here at the EQ spectrum. I'm gonna turn this filter off. And if I turn the warp knob up or down, it's just gonna stretch all these peaks apart or squish them together in the frequency domain. So if I move this up, look at what's happening down here. That root one, the lowest one, is staying in the same spot. I can actually hear it. It's like stretching all the others out or scrunching them together. And it kind of becomes like a weird textural effect, almost like a strange kind of phaser in a way. Sounds like a weird phaser you're putting on top of it or something like that. So that's pretty neat. And then also, so far, everything sounded pretty mono, right? Like the saw wave we're putting into this, we're just putting the saw wave in here. The saw wave that we're putting in is pretty mono. This is pretty mono as of now, but with drift, we get a little bit of stereo spread, a little bit of almost like a chorus, a little bit of detune. If we turn this up quite a lot, then it gets even more detuned. So sometimes just a little bit of that already makes it kind of like wider and brighter. Nice, now we've added some stereo width. That's really sweet. Then my favorite section over here, oh wait, the shift knob is a frequency shifter. That's set at the input stage, so it shifts the signal that then goes into Bismuth, and your dry signal that runs in parallel stays unaffected. That sort of changes which frequencies, like remember how each of these peaks reacts to the volume of what is happening right at that frequency of that peak. So that kind of like shifts that, because now other resonators, higher or lower ones, are being triggered by the input sound. This can lead to really cool effects, and it can like turn a melody into this interesting thing. Like over here, I've got this little melody. So some like serum stuff with delay and reverb. And if I turn on Bismuth, I'm gonna keep the shift at 0 for now. Like right now we just have, like it is adding this like nice resonant chord on top of it, but if I move the shift knob up, it's gonna sound as if it's playing like a harmony to the melody. So that's pretty neat. Will this plugin be compatible with FL Studio? Yes, this is a standalone effects plugin, and then it's also part of the Lunacy Audio Beam plugin, where you have a bunch of different effects that you can chain together and do all kinds of cool routing tricks with it. I'm going to show you that as well. But so far, we've gone through this section, we've gone through the filter section, then there's motion over here. So this is best explained if I just turn it on. So I'm going to turn this unison down, a sine wave, and there's a rate here that you can sync to your project tempo, and then I'm going to turn the strength up. And if I turn the strength up, not much is going to happen first. It's just going to start like modulating in volume like this. And you have the speed for that. But if I turn up the unison, you might be able to hear and also look at the spectrum down here, and you'll see what happens. Remember that I heard you like polyrhythms video? That's kind of what's happening there. The wobble speed, the like tremolo, the volume wobbling speed of each of these peaks is slightly different in speed, and you start getting this kind of Reichian phase music type rhythm. And then that combined with a little bit of drift just makes it sound really nice and bright. Yeah. And then obviously you can change the speed and the shape here. That's like for the volume, for the amplitude modulation. So if this goes like kind of between a sine and a on and off type thing. If we do this and then turn up the unison. It's almost like a little bit reminds me of the effect that you get when you put a frequency shifter on something at 50% mix and then slightly change the pitch of it, the shifting like frequency of it. So that's pretty neat. And then there's an arpeggiator over here as well that will arpeggiate your chord. And I think for that I just have to like hit play for it to start working. Nice. So that's just gonna like step through the notes you've selected here over how many octaves you've selected at whatever rate you choose in the pattern that you choose down here. So if you want to do something quickly like, yep, kind of like that. Let's do a different pattern, like a con and divert. They like move towards each other. Let's do that like a little bit lower. We've made a color yoy, very neat. And one of my favorite ones in here is random. So it just like creates some chaos. That at a slightly slower speed with a little more decay maybe. Let's add the motion on top of that as well. Yeah, you can kind of see where this is going. This is still by itself kind of dry. Obviously, there's no reverb or delay on it on top of that. So that's where I would suggest you either add your own by like running this in parallel at maximum depth with your dry signal and then put like an additional reverb or delay on it or something, or just get the whole beam effect, the beam effect suite that it is part of now over here. So in here, you can then chain this with all the other fun stuff that Lunacy has in their beam effect, like a cool convolution reverb, grains, a time shifter, distortion filters, whatever the hell haze is. If Lunacy is still in the chat, if you can explain, it does like some room-ish, chorus-ish, reverb-ish mixture of things. It's pretty neat. Portals can like create feedback loops, and taps is the cool multi-tap pitch crazy delay thing from Ben Jordan that Ben Jordan did with Lunacy as well. So in here you can like then start to create some fun stuff as well. Let's do let's init this, and we can build something cool really quick as a demo. For example, something I really liked that I tried the other day was I did like just like a square and a saw together through this. Any vital tutorial on color base? Oh, that was a good idea for the future. I might have a look into that. Yeah, the UI is very cute. This is super sweet. It's like this is your signal path from left to right. And then I'm just gonna like try something. I might like filter this, and then if you click on the effect, you have some more settings down here. So if you were to load Bismuth in here, you would go add effect, drag this over here, then you can click on it. If you double click, these are like just the Bismuth standalone presets. There's more than these. These are just the ones I made. I didn't install the final release yet, but the features are pretty much the same. If anything, there's more features. I think there's a scale lock now, so that if you change between presets, it saves the scale that you've picked initially and like keeps that same scale for the other presets you load, so that it doesn't sound weird. And then in here, do something like this with the unison motion, but in really slow. And the shift. Let's get you like. And let's add some reverb after this. Hey, space. And then the fun thing is, now that you are, like, now that we're in the Beam engine, we have some LFOs and envelope followers to play with as well. So we could go and be like, hey, I want this LFO here on the shift to like move up and down very slowly maybe. Let's turn the rate off, like the sync off. You're just gonna be like a free floating boy. And then another one on this over here. I also want you to be a sine wave. And then we make you also kind of slow, so it just like slowly drifts. Can the animations be turned off? There is there's 3 different levels of intensity for like the graphics quality. Like if this ends up being hard on your CPU, you can just turn it on low. Yeah, I think that's all you got. But on low, it definitely like won't affect your CPU much at all. I can MacBook Pro, I just wanted it to look nice. I can allow it. Oh, yeah, Haze is also free on their site. Good shout. So that's kind of neat. And maybe we could even, I filtered this now, and before it hits Bismuth, we could add one of the grain effects and have you do like an octave up pitch type thing. And yeah, rate, spray, like a little bit of chaos. I really like that. And there are a bunch of new presets as well that I don't have in here yet. I need to update my Beam. There's a new collection of presets that use Bismuth in them. I've made a couple of those as well. They should be, why are they not? Okay, so I still have default set up here. Yeah, I've got like a couple in here as well. Like some are set to a certain key. I've just like set them all to E minor just so they're all like kind of similar. Some are not key specific at all. Like this one just uses the weird warp sound and it's like linked to a macro. So you can use that warp as like a weird phaser kind of. And there's a master mix dry wet up here for intensity. There's all kinds of fun ones in here. The melodic helper is kind of the one that I showed earlier where it plays an additional sort of melody on top using the frequency shifter that's built into it. Can I copy you over here? Oh, there's some other stuff playing down here. Much compression. This one needs to be a little softer. Sorry if that was a bit loud. Wait. Overall mix could go up a little bit. Super nice. So yeah, those are the basic features. And then you can obviously, I forgot to mention, you can send your own MIDI into it as well. And unlike in, I guess in PitchMap you can turn it off, but in Chroma and some other ones, the MIDI that you send in gets copied over all octaves. So if you send it a C, it's just going to spread that over the whole frequency range. But here, if you click this little MIDI button, you can send it completely custom MIDI, like a really complex type thing. Here, for example, I have a saw wave, just like this. And I'm sending MIDI into Bismuth and I'm playing the Tetris theme on top of it. So you can do that. So that's pretty neat. Over here we have a drum loop as another example of things to put on it. Initially this is, again, a nice E minor chord to start with. So that's neat. We can harmonize a drum loop. And the shift works really well for this too, because it's gonna like frequency shift the drum loop before it goes into the resonators. So just listen to how it how like the kick and the snare hit new different resonators, like higher or lower ones, if I'm turning this up or down. So that's like a, you can almost think of it as like a weird kind of formant shift, but it keeps it harmonic. That's pretty neat. And then also the warp is kind of fun for percussive stuff, just to give him a weird texture. Like on minus 100%, where they all scrunch together, it almost like some kind of disperser-ish texture thing. Like this is what it's adding on top. And then it sounds very strange with a very high Q. Kind of almost getting some Sophie, weird Sophie vibes here. But less decay. And then if you wanted to be super crazy, if you did this in Beam, then you could also have certain parameters react to the input volume, and then we just get absolute madness. I actually haven't tried this before. Let's check this out. If we put you here, and then we do just like, I'm just gonna do like a whole tone scale with the spacing down for now. Yep, you're up. Nice. Also some A.G. Cook-ish vibes with this, just what I'm feeling. Oh, this is a little quiet. But then, what if we had the spacing? Let's make you really bright with all the octaves. But if this was being controlled by an envelope follower, it's like absolute maximum. Okay, it's getting wonky. I just had to try it. I needed to know what would happen. The shift too. Just put this on everything. I needed to know. This is just getting weird now. I like it. It's turning into some very weird alien instrument. Nice. Let's remove you from the... Oh, there it was. Let's remove you from the warp knob so it stays, it goes like back to be in key. We're gonna do na 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 na. Nice. And then could we maybe modulate the Q with an envelope follower? Or the other way around? Fun stuff. Yeah, you can add a lot of motion this way as well. Neat. Yeah, so that is the basic functionality of this. And of course, you can colorize your basses with this too. There's some bass sound down here I was working on. Let's like use the ARP on random for fun. It's gonna like sound a little different every time I hit this. Probably would have to like bounce that out a couple times and find a really good one. And then I can also pull up the demo that I made. I made like the track that plays in the background of the trailer. I can show you like what's happening in there, because that one also sounds really neat. The difference between Bismuth and Chrome and Pitch Map. So Pitch Map does some other magic that I don't think it uses resonators. I think it does like some spectral stuff and like auto tunes per note or something like that, if I remember correctly. I don't know exactly how chroma works, but this one works in the way that each note that you hear. Aw, I'm running out of room. Each note that you hear is basically a tiny EQ peak, just a really spiky boy in an EQ. I'm going to show this one more time because we've probably gained a few more viewers in the meantime. So I might give one more rundown. Oh, can I pin the link? It's in the description, link to the plugin. We'll do in a second. I just wanted to show you one more explanation of what is going on. So imagine you have an EQ that looks like this. You just have tons of peaks and you set them to be like a certain scale, like a chord, like this. So this just like resonates. I'm just putting the saw wave in. You're just putting that on top. I did this here in Pro Q4 with like matching all these like to like certain pitches of specific keys. And then what if these were reacting dynamically? Like they weren't just on, they would go up and down depending on the volume of the incoming audio at those frequencies, kind of like this. Like you see how these ones rise up first and then these come last when the sound gets really bright. So at the core, that is what's happening in Bismuth. But you have, oops, that's not Bismuth, that's Beam again, because I didn't save it. So at the core, that's what's happening here. And you can set your scales down here. I'll just do this one more time. And then similar to what I just showed here also in Pro Q4, you have like, here you have like controls over the attack and release time of these bands. Like whether or not they should be super fast or like hang around for a while. Kind of like that, like how they're dying down slowly. That's the same thing happening here with the decay knob, for example. Either it's like really tight or it like rings out for a while. And then the Q over here is the Q for these peaks, like whether or not they should be a little wider like this or like really tight. That's also going to increase the decay a little bit just because of like how it like rings out. It's just like tighter EQ peaks that are really high will just create like a little bit of ringing decay. So this is what happens. And then that's what you can control over here. So it's like, this is like very, controls the intensity almost in a way. And then you have some extra filtering down here and a tilt EQ up here to accentuate the highs or the lows. The scoop filter cuts out stuff in the area that the peaks are happening in. And then you can also stretch them and shrink them and make them stereo wide and add this fun motion with so those are the basics. Nice. And now let me show you the trailer audio, because that is a fun project file. It's also the first time I've made trailer audio for a plugin. That was very interesting. Because it's like, I've seen so many, let me just for a moment switch to, I've like seen so many, I've seen so many like trailers for plugins in my life where sometimes the audio in the background it's hard to kind of figure out what is the plugin actually doing, because it's like, you want it to look flashy, you want the trailer to look really cool, and you want the audio to sound impressive, but also how do you convey what the plugin is actually doing? It's easier if it's a synth, then probably all the sounds you hear are from that synth, but with an effects plugin, it's kind of like difficult. So my idea was just that it like starts off with this saw wave that just like rises up in this like filter move with the volume sweep. Let me switch back to Ableton. And then I'd have Bismuth kind of like sweep in a different chord every time. Kind of like... Oh, I hope this isn't too loud. I'm just gonna do my little thing where I put a clipper at the end so I can turn it down, but everything still sounds the same. Oh, hi, Lemons. And then here, for example, for that first bass, I used the MIDI input and just made some chords down here, just like different voicing. So it goes, and then that goes on this bass sound up here. And that's set to accept MIDI input. And in many parts of this, I would like use the warp knob to like just do a little, so it would like come up from like a weird pitch. I just rendered this to audio here. It's like, that's just a growl that has it on top. Just like very subtly. This one's more extreme. Again, the warp knob like goes down. For the so you can almost use it as like a little pitch bend type thing if you want to. So I thought that was cool. And then again, this is kind of like a very simple sound initially. There's only EQs and stuff. It just goes like it's like a comp filter on there. It just does this like hovering thing, and then the rate like slowly slows down. Should have increased the Q towards the end too. So yeah, like just changing some of these parameters, especially the warp, the Q, the filter, or the decay over time, will add a lot of like cool motion and variation to the sound. Oh, this riser here is also Bismuth, because the input for this is just it's just a detuned saw and some noise, but then Bismuth does this. Just like the warp going up, the rate and the unison increasing. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's like making this kind of like speeding up glassy riser type thing there. Yeet. Hi, Yuffie. Yeah, and I kind of wanted just like a contrast between, oh, this is the sound without, and then with the plugin on top of it, just so that maybe if you listen to the trailer in detail, then you might be able to tell, oh, okay, this is doing this shimmery thing on top. So that was the idea here. There's so many people in the chat. I have to like check. Oh, damn. I've been trying to read the chat as best as I can on the side, but I suck at that. So I have really been trying. We have a lot of viewers. This is very nice. Oh, I closed my tab with the stream. I hope everything's still working. If I cut out for a second, that was me. Sorry about that. What key was I in for this demo? I think it was an F. Yeah. But it starts kind of in like F major or F Phrygian dominant and then goes to F minor. Vocals was with Bismuth. Ah, yeah, I'm gonna try that. I actually haven't tried that out yet. Any bass design videos coming in the future? Yeah, definitely. Please do live stream related to Vital bass tutorials. Oh yeah, we could do that. There is a Vital preset pack on my Patreon if you wanna like have a look at those. Maybe there's also something you can learn from those, but doing like a Vital session or a full video might be nice. That's a good idea. Thank you. Your first plugin, so we're celebrating. Yay! Oh, Dubloads is here. Lumpischetti is here. Jesus Christ. Got everybody. That is mental. Riot 3, hello. Should make a song called Stalagmites. Yeah, the name kind of came from... Oh yes, the presets. I do need to install the latest installer because I don't have that yet. I don't have all the good... Yuffie made some presets for this too, for example. Don't have those yet. It's kind of like Flume. Neat. So yeah, really exciting. Super stoked. Let's maybe mess around with putting some vocals into it too. Switch back. Let's see. What do we have? Why not the Lost It a cappella? That's a good one.
When I had the world wrapped in satin.
That's in C minor?
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you go, to when you're coming back again.
I guess that was in C minor, but we could do some fun stuff. Actually, yeah. So let's grab a Bismuth and put that on there. The name actually came from I recently watched a lot of Steven Universe, so I was a little biased towards crystals, and Bismuth crystals are just like the most trippy looking ones with their weird fucking right angles and everything, and their color is just this most strange looking one. Let's feed MIDI into this actually. Let me set you to kind of a low decay time and this and that. And I want to see if we can do some different chords. So if you want to send MIDI to this, this is going to work different depending on what DAW you're in. But in Ableton, you click down here, first of all, to turn on the custom MIDI mode. And then we got to make a MIDI track. And then as the output, we select the track that Bismuth is on. And then by default, it should like select this as its destination. If there's some other stuff on that channel already that can also accept MIDI, like some plugins just do, for example, Shaperbox, then if this is, especially if this is the first plugin in the chain, it might by default have selected Shaperbox as where the MIDI from this track is going to go. So you got to go down here and say, no, I want the MIDI from here to go to that plugin. Just so you know. And then I was thinking, what if we did F major? Whoops.
When I had
Let me actually go to the chorus.
tic-tac-toe. Tic-tac.
So the vocal's obviously very mids heavy, and then this is also very resonant, so gotta do some adjustments here first.
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you go, to when you're coming back again. Tic-tac-toe.
I don't know if...
Tic-tac-toe, tic-tac-toe.
Okay, I just gotta pitch everything up, and I gotta make it a little bit quieter for you all. Otherwise, that's too intense. Oh, also, you can resize this freely, and it looks very nice in any size.
Tic-tac-toe.
How do you duplicate the notes like this? Oh, I just go, like, I drag this one, and then I hit Option. So now that I'm holding Option, it's not moving it, it's copying it somewhere else. Just gotta keep the ones down here a little simpler.
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you...
I want like 3 different chords, so let's make those first. I can tell you. Is that correct?
Go, to when you're...
Yeah, and then I think that one just went up.
Go to when you're coming back again.
I don't know if this makes sense, but I do want to try that.
Go to when you're go to when you're coming back again.
And then, because I do want to process this separately, I'm going to put it in a group on 100% depth and do a parallel chain where the clean vocal is coming through. Also, I think just the vocal overall, like this is very loud since I just exported it as like a normalized stem. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Can we add some motion? And then we could process that with a little bit of reverb and echo. And then we could EQ this a little bit because obviously that vocal is very vocally, so we're going to get some bright frequencies up here. And what if we rhythmatized that with something? Like if this was like hovering on eighth notes? Oh, also zero milliseconds latency on Beam. Haha. I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again. And you know where it begins, it also ends, and then restarts again. My idea here is that instead of the original chords, I'm just gonna like make like a we can probably something like this, so you know what kind of chords I'm going for here. I count the seconds till you go to when you. Oh, actually, I count the seconds till you go to when you. This needs to be a different chord. Is that gonna work if I just shift it? When you're coming back again. Yeah. Oh, nice. Perfect. That's what I wanted. Shout out F minor. Yeah, because the track initially was in C minor, and the vocal technically is in C minor, but you can do that where you like go up or go down a fifth. We did a similar thing in class the other day where there was, what was it, the Promises vocal, which is in A minor, but you can also make it, you can also play a D minor scale to it, and it sounds kind of nice. So yeah, to like, because the vocal is kind of high and bright, it's only gonna like hit the high and bright resonators that I'm activating with this MIDI inside of Bismuth, but because of the built-in frequency shifter in here, we can aim for the lower resonators. And that was my phone alarm that I have to check on my laundry. So if I like, you can kind of, I'm just soloing the Bismuth right now. You can kind of hear her, yeah, but if I like turn this down, I feel like I also need to hit some lower notes in here just to make sure. I'm just gonna like, first of all, you need a fifth on top of you. Who doesn't? Let's be real. And you too. So I'm just gonna take that and then add that in an octave below as well. And just to make these all similar, ba 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 ba. Now, if we wanted, we could mess some more and also turn on the arpeggiator. That's kind of fun. What do we get on random, but a little slower? Go laundry. Yes, okay, I will go laundry. The random is kind of nice on a little slower of a speed, because then we just get these here and there kind of little crystalline drops of melodic action, of like harmony sort of on top.
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again. And you know where it begins, it also ends, and then restarts again.
Maybe a little faster, but this is kind of nice. If I was taking this seriously, which I am now trying to do, I would also put, yes, laundry, just this one thing, okay? Because it needs to be perfect. I would probably want, like, because I like this layer, but also I want the original vocal to still be audible and not overshadowed too hard, because lead vocal is important, has priority in the mix. So I would probably use something like Soothe, or I think Pro Q4 is much better. Use Pro Q4 with a spectral band, use a sidechain input, and that sidechain input is going to be this dry chain. So that's on 10. So I just go over here and say 10, lost it a cappella. Yeah, pre-effects.
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again. And you know where it begins, it also ends, and then restarts again.
Nice. So now, whenever she's singing, her dry vocal frequencies are getting cut out of the Bismuth layer. So that's really nice. No, I gotta do the laundry real quick, because it's the washer that just got done. Because earlier when I went to check and my timer was up, it had another 50 minutes to go for no reason, because you know how washing machines are. So I shall return momentarily. I just need to, it's literally right here. Like, I'll be back in a minute. Please entertain yourselves while I'm gone. Ta-da! That wasn't that hard. There's a big-ass spider in the back. What? No. I don't see it. So yeah, that worked really nicely.
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again. And you know where it begins, it also ends.
Oh yeah, might also use the tilt filter for it to focus, like make the lows a little louder and the highs a little quieter on this layer. That's really nice. And then if it's still like if it has too much low end, because now it's sometimes hitting some very low frequencies here, we could obviously, now that it's in parallel, we can do that here, or with the built-in filter over yonder.
Back again, and you know where it begins, it also ends, and then restarts again. Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again. And you know that when your mind is way up high, so it can seem to fly.
Yee. Oh, screen. Ha. I need a little monitor somewhere.
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you.
That's why they call them monitors, because you can monitor what you're doing or what is happening.
Tic-tac-toe, I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again.
I went back to lower decay time so that it sounds a little more like, not just like constant random sparkles, but it's a little more reactive to the vocal.
Coming back again, and you know where it begins, it also ends, and then restarts again.
That's kind of cool. Like maybe the move is also to not, obviously this was just to try out to see what Bismuth sounds like on a vocal. I would probably end up doing this in like certain moments where it would like just add like a cool little moment of sparkle on top of it, like the then we start again.
Go to when you're coming back again, and you know.
Just like there, to accentuate that moment, I would give it a little more delay, a little more reverb. So, and then automate this utility before the entire chain to only let audio into this chain in that very moment, kind of like this.
You're coming back again, and you know where it. You're coming back again, and you know where it begins. It
Copy that over.
Ends, and there he starts again. Tic tac toe.
Yeah, that's really nice. I want a little melody on top of this, like a. Just something simple like this. And I'm just gonna use something from my 2024 Serum presets, the analog starter.
Tic tac toe. I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again.
Oh, one note is missing. Na, 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 na. Oh, I only did that here, did I? Yeah, let's copy you everywhere. Bam. And you need more delay as well. And more reverb.
Tic tac toe. I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again, and you know.
The audio is cutting in and out? What? Audio is coming in and out? What? Oh, it's cutting in. Audio is cutting in and out? Like the audio of me talking, or Ableton, or everything? Let me check real quick. The stream health. Stream health? YouTube says stream health is excellent. Mysterious. Yeah, maybe rejoin. I don't know. The Wi-Fi here is just like that too. So I cannot. We're at the mercy of the Wi-Fi gods. I cannot. What's the word? I cannot promise it working. It could at any time just suddenly break. All right, we good. Yeah, this is a weird angle. This is my laptop screen, and this is my speaker, and the camera is kind of like propped behind it. Also, oh, autofocus. Good autofocus. Damn.
Tic tac toe. I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again.
Also, I can show you some fun thing. I've just been enjoying doing this on a vocal in general recently, and I'm doing it on like 1 or 2 songs on the new album that you will soon all hear. Where I like to, if I have a vocal, like a longer verse or chorus or something like this, and there's space for this kind of stuff, grabbing a slicer, and then, let me see, can we cut you by like beat, by like 8th notes or something? And just whenever there's space, doubling up or looping the last little bit of a syllable. Because right now we got... This is gonna make sense in a second. I'm just gonna like place them for now. Go, oh, oh, oh.
To when you're coming back again. To when you're coming back again. Go to when you're coming back again. And you know.
No.
And you know. Go where it begins, it also where it begins.
And if you want to be super intense, you could do on the
Where it begins, where it begins, it where it begins, it begins, where it begins, it also.
That's a little intense.
Where it begins, it also. Where it begins, it and also.
The ah is good.
Where it begins, it also. where it begins it also ends.
That might be a little too much, but bear with me.
And then restart also and then restarts again.
So something like that, so that you have this like these constant little echoes for the vocal. But let's first compress them a little bit and then give them a really, really small little telephone EQ, so that they're like kind of like these a little quieter in the background to begin with. And then for bonus weirdness, my favorite button, the random pan in the simpler. So now each slice, every time a slice is triggered, it's going to be randomly panned left and right.
Tick-tock-toe, I count the seconds till you go to when you're coming back again. And you know where it begins it also ends and then restarts again.
You get the idea. The fast ones were actually really cool.
And then
Like, this should happen again.
and then restart. And then restarts again.
Maybe we can go even more experimental with it.
And then restarts again. Tick. And then restarts again. Tick.
Oh, the zoom. Sorry. Zoom jump scare. Whee. Oh wait, no, wrong key. So if I hold control, yes. Whap!
And then restarts again.
So yeah, that's kind of like a cute little technique that I've just been like that I just found and I do sometimes. And then if you feels even more ADHD,
Where it begins it also ends.
you could start pitching them around. Like maybe just a little irp on one of them. Like obviously you can do these little slides,
And then restarts again.
or if we make the last one here longer, it could be like on a different key or something like.
Tick-tock.
I think for that to sound nice, it should be da-ba-da-da. So you can get really creative and chaotic with these little edits. It's kind of hard to see these lines if I might do like Command A, so select everything so you can see those.
And then restarts again. Tick-tock.
It's kind of like a weird little manual delay glitchy loop thing that I've just been enjoying. I wanted to share that. Neat. Yeah. One more time, my first plugin ever, Bismuth, is out today. Or came out yesterday actually, but is now out in collaboration with Lunacy Audio that did all the programming and beautiful design. And it is a, I guess, playable harmonic modal resonator with lots of cool features. And you can play it yourself with MIDI, or you can select a scale, and it creates lots of tiny little EQ peaks that react to the incoming audio, and they're all set to specific notes that you can select here or that you can send in via MIDI, and you can warp them and shift them and make them move and make them wide or arpeggiate them and make them really pointy so they're super glassy and intense, or kind of white so they're a little more washed out and detuned. And there's a tilt filter to make it brighter or darker, and a scoop that makes some space in the dry signal for them, and a frequency shifter before the input stage so it hits different resonators and all kinds of fun stuff. The link is also in the description of this video, is a link to the plugin page and to my Patreon, if you want to check them out. Feel like now I might have a little more time for questions and looking at the chat. This vocal sample is, I recorded this myself. This is from university times. This is from the Still Kids EP, the track Lost It. I just save my own vocal stems a lot of times so I can like use them again later for vocal chops and that kind of stuff. VR X Skrillex collab album. That'd be nice. I hope I'm not annoying with these questions, but what kind of bass tutorials are planned for the future? A lot. We'll get there. There's like a bunch of video ideas in general that I want to do. There's one I'm working on at the moment that's a little different than the usual stuff. That's just called the sounds of sleep paralysis, which might be there's a lot of weird noises, and I've recreated the sounds that I hear during sleep paralysis or that are connected with that as best as I can in Serum, and wanted to share those because I've played them to some people that had similar experiences, and they were like, "Yes, that's exactly what it sounds like." And maybe going off of that, because they sound kind of creepy, we could do some kind of challenge on Patreon or something, or like a audio combat type thing where everyone has to make the creepiest, like most scary sound or noise that they can make. Some like basically some horror movie sound design, which could be really fun. Oversample's asking, how are you doing, man, by the way? I'm doing pretty good. I just got back from Miami. I did a little talk at a music conference there, which was really fun. Happy that I'm done with the album and that I have more time to focus on more videos and other stuff now. And then obviously we got some shows coming up next month again. So yeah, it's going well. Yeah. New meds are helping. Would you ever consider making an analog sound design tutorial showing you analog hardware? Yeah, that's a very good idea too. I also wanted to do a video going over a lot of really good, sort of like more chaotic, randomizable synths. Obviously, like Old Massive has a random button, but then there's Absynth, there's Screvel, there's Generate by Newfangled Audio, there's that random and random metal synth. There's like a lot of different ones that use controlled randomization in different ways, and they're really fun. It's really fun to play around with that, or even build your own. I already said VR X Skrillex collab album. That would be cool. When should we expect the new album? There's a date on my Instagram. I think April 9th? I don't even know my own release date. Yeah, laundry's good. Laundry's gonna run for 80 minutes in the dryer now. It's just gonna take a long time because low heat, because I don't want it to ruin any of the beautiful shirts. Ah. 9th, nice. I got it right. Hell yeah. Let me just save this for fun. Lost it with Bismuth remix idea, so don't forget about this. Is there any way to envelope control compress the resonance output from Bismuth? Well, if you are in Beam, Lunacy's like effects host thingy where you have a bunch of different effects, including Bismuth, you can use the built-in envelope follower down here to control stuff. So that could control the depth for you, or the Q, which I guess also like kind of like increases the resonance of all of the peaks together. So you could control that inversely, so that like the louder it gets, the more the envelope follower gets triggered, the further down the depth or the Q gets pushed. If stuff gets very, very resonant, also, my favorite has been, I mean, either a lot of people have Soothe, that's just why I'm mentioning it, but I think Pro Q4 is better. So Pro Q4 on, let me just do an example real quick, where we just have Bismuth on super ringy resonant mode. Just like super aggressive, just for demonstrational purposes real quick. Set you back to E with more brightness. So if it's getting too much, then if you have Pro Q4, the spectral, like dynamic spectral mode, like by default, if you do like a dynamic band, it does this kind of thing. But if you turn spectral on, then it only targets specific resonances. So especially if there's like very high peaky ones, you can like make a band up here that like targets specific loud frequencies or like little resonances that poke out too much. That's really useful for that. Oh my god, the screen. This is gonna be a thing. So Pro Q4 on the spectral compressor mode can help to tame some peaks sometimes. actually use that a lot when I use Vital for like some cool, weird sounding basses with the random amplitudes mode. Because if you go here and then you use the random amplitudes, you get all those cool, weird noises and strange harmonics amplified, and it can get very squeaky. Similar. Can be like a similar issue where it's just like some of those very high sine waves, basically, because it's all just like really pokey harmonics. Like that kind of stuff can get a little intense. And then again, either Soothe, if you have that one, will do a decent job, or something like Pro Q4. You just like move it up here, maybe tell it to only really aim for this area, and then adjust the threshold to like tame these. Maybe they don't need to be as spiky, they could be a little wider, and that can tame those resonances for you. Actually, just for fun, let's also try. Let's try a Bismuth on this kind of thing, because I do like that a lot. Like, this creates like all these very odd harmonics, and then maybe there's a way to slightly colorize it again afterwards and make it a little more harmonic again. I don't know why E. Today's just E minor for all of these demonstrations. Let's have you have a slight bit of motion as well. Whoops, you go down, you go up. It's a lot of decay. Can probably use the shift to like bring it down a bit too. Nice. Let's use the scoop. What if you start a little higher? Nice. And then the best part of this would be then to go back to Vital and change the, try out all the different, shuffle the overtones with random amplitudes. Nice. If I actually was gonna turn this into a more colory based patch, I'd probably also put a little something like this on the level, so we have a little bit of that happening. Maybe a tiny bit of chorus for a little more stereo width. And then modulating this is just really fun because you get all kinds of different. You can have it be just like a wing, like that, or we could do something steppy, where it's like clean da bee. And then it's really just like, oh, keep doing this until you find one that you really like. You can still play around with it afterwards, maybe add a sub underneath with another oscillator. Something like that. Can we increase? Yeah. Or lean into the detune and the odd harmonics by using the warp and just making it really strange sounding. Nice. Bismuth does not create latency. 0 samples. Huh. I haven't even checked that before, but yeah, it says down here, 0 samples. Oh, you can't see it. I think I cropped it out of the stream. But 0 samples latency. Haha. So nice. Cheers VR, I'm a mic tech for Telefunken. Much love from here. Oh, I have a Telefunken. It's like the one with the huge tube amp. And the plug on the bottom is just this massive chunky cable that you have to screw in. It sounds really good. To be honest, though, I copy Serum sound design tutorials to sound design in Vital because it's free. Yeah, I mean that's totally fine. They're very similar, so you can probably apply a lot of stuff from Serum in Vital. Absolutely, they sound a little bit different, but a lot of the same like options with modulating and warping stuff and wavetables, etc. How many Bismuth purchases to get you to invest in a second monitor, so I can like see if I got the right camera selected. It's always dangerous if I switch back because then it's gonna like, am I gonna remember? Yeah, if we can get a couple, that would be nice. If you want to get it, it's not very expensive. The link is in the description to the website, and you can get it as a standalone or also in the Beam plugin from Lunacy Audio. You can use it in there as well. I'm moving this with high decay. Green. I like the kind of howl that it has a little bit. Oh, I wonder if there's like if there's an application here for Bismuth on snares to get very odd metallic resonant-y ploinks. Kind of want to try that. Get like a snare like this that doesn't have any ploink. But yeah, did I switch back to the Ableton? Yes, I did. Nice. And then let's put you on there. What a nice snare. What a happy snare. And I'm just gonna like do like some random ones. Like maybe we just do that and like 2 octaves maybe, but then also with the warp. Like kind of like that. Less of that. This is 1 octave. So it's like a bing that we can like position somewhere. Or actually multiple octaves, but with like a lot of spread. Too many octaves, it becomes too glassy and phasery sounding, I guess. What if we actually just lean into it and do a whole tone scale? That's interesting. I'm just messing around. This would have to fade in later, probably. I just wanted to try out. Just because I gotta try everything. That's a little more interesting. Ooh. It's adding this splashy kind of like a water splash, but in very spectral to the tail of the snare now. That's kind of pretty. What if we had that in parallel? Or you could do this in Beam as well, where you could just grab a reverb and just put it behind it and then mix that whole thing together. But like if those had a little bit of sparkle on them. That's cool. And can we get you as fast as possible? Ooh, that's cool. Water snare. That's fun. So many different applications. Okay, let me check the chat one more time. Yeah, no, this is really cool. I'm so happy. I've always wanted to like get into making plugins, but also it's like coding them myself would be so much work, and just like I would get so much less music done. I would just be learning coding a lot of the time, and then that would just eat up my time. And I was talking to Steve Duda about this, and it was kind of like either you make music or you make music software if you want to like do that full time. So I'm really happy that Lunacy Audio are down to sort of like take my vision and then turn it into a reality. And they have a really good coder on their side who quickly drafts up an idea and does all these changes. And I'm like, oh, what if we had this? What if we had this little frequency shifter in there too? And all of that. And just like in a couple of days, it gets added, and it's like magic to me because it's like, okay, this is great. This is because I could never code that, or it would take me years. I will buy 10 Bismuth for a chance at the Unti Engel remix project walkthrough. We could look at that for a second. I just want to not get copyright struck on my stream. Don't know if I will. Maybe if I turn the vocal off. The rest should be fine. But let me see if I have it here. Rammstein. It's called Rammstein Remix. Ah, okay. I think this is the latest version. Yeah, there's some fun stuff going on in this remix. You don't have to buy 10, but one is enough. I don't even know if you can buy 10. Yes, I'm switching back to the screen. It almost happened again. Maybe, oh yeah, exactly. We just put Chroma on, or Chroma, Bismuth on all of these. Yeah, look up Bismuth crystals on Google Images. They look really cool. While this project loads, I'm gonna get a new Red Bull real quick. Oh, I haven't even told you, when Afrojack came through with like his crew, it was like 2 or 3 people in total. They like drank a couple of our Red Bulls, like maybe 5. And then after they left, a couple days later, 200 Red Bulls, 8 big boxes arrived on our doorstep. So I have Red Bull for the next couple of years now, which is amazing. Oh, hi, Leia. Yes, there's a new VST plugin that I've made in collaboration with Lunacy Audio. It's called Bismuth, and it's a playable modal harmonic resonator. You can skip back into the beginning of the stream. I can't talk today. If you want to see all about it, or watch the video on the Lunacy channel, the one that I've collabed on with them, that explains it a little bit. But it's very fun. All right, let me turn the vocals off just for copyright safety. But there's a lot of fun stuff happening here. I was very proud of the intro being like this cool dark kind of vibe, kind of cyberpunky. Let me just make sure that, because this is obviously like mastered and clipping and really loud, I'm just gonna put this clipper on the master, and then that's gonna make it sound the way it should, and I can turn the overall volume down so we can actually hear this, and it's not gonna blow out your ears. So this percussion loop is stuff like, that's like a drum loop that I made just with some drum samples and percussions, but I ran it through, what is it, freaking unfiltered audio spec ops. And first it does MP3ify, and then it does smear, just so it sounds like really weird and washy. So that's kind of like that really cool thing. And we got very basic drums, and the kick's like low cut here, low passed here, and then bright over here. What are you? Some toms. Some additional toms from Addictive Drums as well. Just for like a little bit of more of a tribal rhythm, and some really cool synth stuff happening down here. Let me pull this up. It's a big project file. It's very messy. So we've got this very filtered synth. Very strong telephone filter on that. We've got that. Oh, this is the old auto filter. And then that one. That one's kind of interesting. So that's sort of the main bass there. It gets a little delay tail at the end. Let me group this whole effect and this whole effect chain and turn it off so we hear just the serum patch. So there's a lot of stuff just happening in here. I'm not doing automation or anything. This is all like all the different movements and effects are being sequenced in these LFOs. But it's mostly just, it's switching between some basic shapes. There's FM happening from B. That moves up, like up and down in strength. Like what is controlling the FM strength? Something is for sure. This is kind of like a steppy modulation for the filter. This spiky one on 8th notes is doing the volume, and the something else like that is doing the drive over there too. And this one, very similar. I don't know why I didn't use the same thing. Almost using all the LFOs. In the effects we have some drive. A little bit of comp, or 2 comps even. This movement from an all pass. Drive is being modulated, everything's being modulated. The hyper is coming in, so it's like stereo and then mono again, and then stereo and then mono. It's just like a very analog sounding patch. I really like that. There's some noise coming in here too, only sometimes. So instead of like doing a macro and then making an automation lane, I was just like, I'm gonna just do it all in the patch. Oh yeah, PD, this is on LFO 10, let's do this. So you can kind of like hear how that does make it a lot brighter. If I like just do this. So that like brings in those extra harmonics, and that's pretty neat. And then the effects chain is just a little bit of mids cut, some drive, some multiband compression, some 30-25% OTT, more EQ, and then this delay just comes in at the very end here for that little bit of tail. Oh, it's not even that one, it's something else. Oh, it's probably the delay in the patch. Yeah. We just don't hear it because it's just everything's so loud and compressed, and this is very quiet, just very slightly mixed in. Got some loops in the back. And then what are these guys? Let me just solo all of these. Just kind of like helps to fill this pattern. And then that just does like a call and response sort of. Wow. What is that? Is this? And there's this one. Oh, there's. I guess this was like a splice sample. This one. And I just like put some auto pan and some chorus and some reverb on it. Got some more hi-hats. I think then here finally the telephone EQ on that synth turns off. And yep, that one still just does that. I feel like this one became more angry. Oh yeah, that's the only thing that's automated here. The level of this additional square, that's like that +7. That one just like gets turned up here. You can hear it in the... If I make it even higher. That also sounds really cool, damn it. Oh, we've got some additional background synth as well, or what are you? Oh. I guess just for more drama. And a little more perks coming in. So all these synths kind of copy the line that the guitar is playing in the original. Oh yeah, here's the guitar. That one's from the original song. We also have like a dramatic choir in the back. And a lot of these over time get like some sort of volume automation. Like for example, there's like this trance gate that slowly fades in over the course of this whole bit, just so it starts off really sustained and dramatic, like, and then becomes more and more rhythmical and gets more energy because of these cuts. And that is one of the FM Reeses with some saws just doing. Not that much happening on effects here. We've got a little bit of auto filter doing that sweep here at the end. There's some modulation here, automation here too, and we got a phaser coming in for a moment. Or no, not here. Later. Okay. Guess I added that in later. Yep, and then we go into build-up. Got some spicy rhythm drum stuff. Creating some build-up percussions. And the main bass is kind of teasing here already. Just with another telephone EQ on it and reduced width. Oh yeah, right. For the vocal right before the drop, the original is somewhere in here. Where was it? I think it's this one. Which is cool, but I wanted to make it even more weird, so I ran it through some Bitspeak. By itself sounds really weird. And then I also recorded myself just doing like a like a really demonic voice. And made it very stereo wide and just like put it on top of that just to make it a little more impactful. There's a lot happening here. There's a lot of layers. Let's start with the drums just really quick. Is the most basic part. Oh, a company kick. It happened to work really nicely for this one. And I think there's a splice disciple snare. They just worked. They were just perfectly fine for this, so I just didn't go any further with that. Some cymbal splashy stuff at the back. There's this one little explosion on the start. I just wanted like some extra impact, I guess, but obviously without sub. Some more high, like just cymbal loops with a little bit of weep, pew, weep, pew. And then I think this was the first one I made just to get the pattern down. And I did it with some FM and some very basic stuff here. And this stepper, that's controlling the FM strength and the sync here, so that it's like changing the note a little bit, or the resonance. And the bakatadang is just happening here. Again, like I sequenced a lot of stuff in the synths, but that one's kind of more in the background because the main bass is way more... That's like sort of the meat bass that also supplies the sub. Much noisy, and definitely a lot of white noise in here. Let's look at this just real quick without effects. I'm doing really good today. Group, yeah. There's a stab on there also to make it overall more plucky. It's just like without the stab. It's just like way too sustained. It's like that's like a lot more pointy without the effects. So what do we have? There's definitely some pitch, like main tuning, envelope 2. That's doing like a pew 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 downwards pitch. This one is on 16 voices unison with the random phase on 0, so it's doing the pew kind of like spread apart thing by itself. It's kind of like a noisy, like lasery type thing on there. Pew 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 pew. That's mostly like distorted sub with main sub. Oh, and this gets FM'd from B. It's creating this overtone in there. Overdrive distortion, that also just for more percussiveness is being plucked by that LFO. Same here with another distortion after the compression. A lot of that. So that's the meat. I think this is a very small little layer. It's like a bass one shot I made some time ago, and just to like bring home that na 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 na. But it gets very drowned out. Then the other, like all those resonances and stuff are happening in this group. Let me turn off the sidechain trigger for now, like and the ring mount sidechain, just so it's like undistorted and completely clean. Those are like different types of tear out one shots. Some are probably in like my sample pack, in like the latest Splice pack, like stuff like this. And then I'd make it really short. Sometimes I'd have warp on and like divide by 2, so it plays it twice as fast. Cut off the sub. There's a little bit of this here. Kind of like a resonant fast, resonant really short convolution reverb, and I probably adjusted the size so that it like accentuates the because if I change the size, yeah, that kind of pitch changes. So I was like aiming for that. Yeah, this is also transposed to hit like a certain pitch. This one's just another one of those, just really short, just to have like a little, almost like just like a percussive rhythmical hit. Just have like a little ticka. And then that other one contains of 2 of these probably, yeah, 2 different ones stacked. That one I probably sped up and tuned, so it's like, hits that major third. And then this one also by itself almost sounds out of tune, but I just like. So we got. So it's like hitting all these overtone resonances, and some like fluty bass stab I made some time ago, and then using the frequency shifter. Like I could, because it's kind of like weird and atonal. I couldn't really find the correct pitch, but then it just like hits those two resonances as well. So all together, they're just really bringing home that. While in the background, there is some noise and some more noise. Then there's some guitars. There's like a contact guitar and some other plugin called Real 8. I just set these to like muted, clean, so that guitar rig gives them the distortion. This is like what it sounds like, clean. And then I do like a thing in guitar rig here with a cabinet as well. And then that would give me layered with. Oh yeah, this plugin has two outputs. That's why it's like left and right down here. And another contact guitar. They're all together doing that. There's a shaper box on here to make them tighter. Without that, they just have like this tail that lingers for too long. I just need it all to be like really dry and tight because there's so much happening at once. Then we've got some more hype. It's like kind of like creepy choir held notes. And very important, I don't know how it ended up in here, but it's kind of like what makes the drop way cooler is this long sustained. Like that thing. Gets like really distorted and then starts hovering at the end to like sort of blend more into the background, and like the reverb turns up over time and stuff. And without it, it's just... And like, it's just so important. And I think it works because everything is so stabby and dry. I guess the cymbals are probably the longest thing. Those you can kind of, the splash of the snare. Those are kind of like a little more sustained, but everything else is super plucky. There's not a lot of room on any of those basses either. So there is kind of space for something sustained in the back. So that kind of works. And yeah, so that's kind of, and then there's these cool little fills where I was just like, okay, this is like so much engineering and complex sounds and layers and details that I was like, okay, any fills are just going to be super basic in terms of their sound design, where this is just some detuned saws. It's just two saws. And they're just doing some like fun automation where like they start mono, like that's just, instead of doing two voices, because I wanted to have like more detailed control, I just did two oscillators. They're both in center at first. And then they go, they like split left, right, a little bit of drive, that reverb comes in, and this high pass sweep is very important for that. So it's kind of like a very basic breeze in a very weird way. And then it's super dry over here for this fill. Just doing that. And like nothing else is playing in that moment, which makes it very jarring and surprising. A little bit of connecting elements here, like whooshes and stuff in the back, like it's from like Boom Library, like trailer sounds. It's like stuff like that to fill in the back. There's another addictive drums here to like make some real drum fills. Oh, it's the same one that did the toms in the intro. So I like used it here and there for some, just for some more like real toms to do some. It's actually very faint. This one's, I think, from Spicy Rhythm Drums. I'm actually curious where that is happening, that fill. Is it just happening like on the entire sidechain group? Or where's that filtering happening for that? Because like it just turns into this boxy version for a second. It's not on this group. That's going to synths. And this is off. Is it on the main? No. That wasn't that crazy. Oh, it's here. Oh yeah, okay. It's just everything that's on the entire sidechain group. This has like a telephone-ish EQ and a reverb, like a really short one, the shortest reverb possible, and that just turns on for this short moment here. And then turns back off. And I made sure that these two risers don't go there. They don't go to the samples group, which would go to sidechain. These two audio tracks go to main, so they are not affected by that little fill sound effect thing. Oh yeah, and then that Reese does some cool fill here again. Much crunch. Then we just go back into another verse. That's very copy-paste. Another chorus, but this time we have it's like a little bit Robert Miles Children. That's the stuff Nexus is just really good for. Like these kind of cheesy sounds. It's doing all these little plucks in the back. The smack on that isn't nice. I should have been more accurate there. Kind of a nice synth. I kind of like that one. Is there some flanger going on here? No, it wasn't. Oh, it's the sync. It's that sync that's doing it. Nice. And then we got the second drop, which is doing this again, but we also have that little. And I made this before Tunnels by Space Laces. I did not rip it off. I just want to say that. Techno stuff. We've got lasers. There's like 3 different lasers. There's some panning happening. Oh, this is just stereo spread is just up. With some pumping. We got... It's kind of like just... It's probably some detuned sauce, that is it. Yeah. With a really fast low pass. Just to give him a little more pluck. These are some percussion loops I made with Excellence Audio XO a long time ago. There's all these different techno backings I made. So that is that, but where's the rumble kick? I'm kind of curious now. What did I do? That is the... That does sound like the Scorched Earth kick. I might have reused that here. And this is some white noise rumble, but I know it says it's from a kick, but yeah, I made that kick previously. And yeah, that is quite messy with the low end, but it kind of works. Is there sub? What else is happening here? Yep, there is sub and rumble together. I guess I just did not care. It was fine. And then this is... This is the zap. Which is just a sine wave. There's a little bit of stuff on here. I think that's a frequency shifter. Yeah. And then there is a fun parallel happening here where we have one chain that has echo sometimes, but otherwise it's just dry. Besides these little reflections here. And then this other chain has reverb on 100%, and then an OTT, and then this pumping. And then this filter kind of starts closing. And opens back up. Just creating this really cool room in the background. Another nice thing I like doing, white noise, like sequenced white noise. Just through a bandpass, and it's just doing this. The volume is happening here. This is something I stole from a very old German Eurodance song by the band Blümchen. Herz an Herz is the name of the song, and it has like something like that in the background too. It's like this super fast, and it has this really fast. And then the sine laser changes to detuned saws that slowly filter up while the guitars come back and everything. There's some other random stuff here, like you don't even barely hear that. It's just some weird spectral sounds. Guitars come back. And then it's just the same first drop one time around, but with double time drums, because why not? Very basic drums. Kept the short kick from earlier without the rumble this time, and then a bunch of different claps on top of each other. Everything going through a clipper at the end. And some hi-hats. I was trying to kind of do those techno rides with a delay, and then some pumping on them as well. Also can't forget the 909 snare risers that are in a couple different places. Yeah. Someone asked, what plugins would I recommend to you to buy as a beginner? That's a very good question. I mean, learning synthesis just with something like Serum is kind of nice, like, but you don't need to be a Serum. It depends on what you want to do. Like, if you want to really get into sound designy genres, then yeah, something like that with all the tutorials available will give you a good start to learn a lot about sound design. And it's always good to just like find this one plugin that can do a lot of things that you get really good at, so you feel home in it. And if you want to be a sound designer and make all your own sounds, then you need this kind of like synth that you're comfortable with, where you can do all of that. But if you were to produce like pop songs, let's say you're a singer-songwriter and you just want to record your own stuff and like produce your own ideas because you want to like send them to other artists to then use your vocal, or to an artist who might be interesting, or a producer who might be interesting in producing an album for you, then doing sound design doesn't really make sense. You just need some plugins with good bread and butter sounds of all kinds to produce your songs with. And then honestly, something like Contact with its stock library for a little bit of everything, or Nexus for just generic EDM sounds if you need electronic sounds, are like good starting points, because that gives you like a little bit of everything. And there's a lot of free libraries for like the bread and butter sounds, like having piano, orchestra, horns, strings, drums. There's a lot of free stuff for that as well. Even just the Contact player with Native Instruments Contact preview library, where there's just like very minimal presets. There's still a lot of good stuff in there that you can make songs with. Do I split my stems in Ableton stem separator or a third party like UVR? I think I mostly still use UVR, but I had compared and Ableton's is pretty similar. I just like doing it in UVR because then I can have that do the stem splitting while I still keep working in Ableton. So it can like run in parallel. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, I've checked out Ultra. It's all right. It's cool. It's like, it does have this one specific way of dealing with wavetable synthesis, which is kind of cool. But other than that, I don't know. Oh yeah, one more time before I forget. Just gotta mention this again. Ableton and webcam. Yesterday, I released my first VST plugin. It's an effect called Bismuth in collaboration with Lunacy Audio. And it is a modal, polyphonic, playable resonator type thing. And you can get it from the link below, and it can do all kinds of fun stuff. Don't want to forget, that's what the stream was actually about. I just completely sidetracked into that project file for a second. Time for another one. I haven't live streamed in so long. This is really, thank you all for hanging out. By the way, this is nice. If you had to live the rest of your career with one plugin, what plugin would you choose? Can I still use the stock stuff in Ableton at the same time? Oh, also, hi, White Raven. Then probably Serum. If that includes like Serum 2 and the Serum 2 FX, I think that I'm pretty good. That'd be nice. What's the other nice one? VPS Avenger 2 also has a lot of different synthesis modes. It's also got granular and multi-sample. But I don't know if it has like cool spectral stuff like this. Will this video be saved? Yeah, I'm probably gonna like also edit this together or something. Do you know how many times I tried to get your attention? I'm sorry, I'm trying my best. Have you tried using Bitwig? Yes, I have Bitwig down here. Actually, I am Bitwig curious. I also have FL for doing some sound design in Harmor every once in a while. Do you plan to convert all your racks into plugins in the future? Maybe not everyone. Also because obviously I'm not doing the programming. The beautiful people at Lunacy Audio were able to make this a reality with their programming knowledge and designers, and also all the people that helped making presets for this, like Yuffie, for example, who's in the chat as well. Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think collaborating with Rammstein's singer is not a good idea. I agree. I just felt like, I grew up with Rammstein, and I felt like, oh, fuck it, I want to make a song with that vocal because it just was a part of my childhood. But I guess he's not a good person, from everything I've heard. So that's a shame. Hate it when it just like sours the music too. Please release some still kid stuff or just melodic dubstep stuff in general. Yes, I am working on more melodic dubstep stuff. People earlier have talked about Throwback EP Volume 2. Maybe that's going to be a thing. Have you used Citrus before? Yes, of course. Absolutely. Another piano jam, also a really good idea. Is Bismuth compatible for Linux? Oh, that's a good question. Are the people from Lunacy Audio still in the chat? Tier list of plugins. That's also another video I'm working on. Yes, good idea. Also, speaking of like Citrus and FM stuff, I recently was messing around with Serum and just FM in general because that's I just kind of wanted to set up some fun stuff in here, which is because like you know, when you have a modular system, when I first got a modular system or like a few modules to do some FMing with, I thought, oh cool, now I have all these oscillators and I can make like way cooler FM patches than with Serum or Massive because I can route everything to everything else. And then it just didn't sound at all like the FM in Serum or in Massive, because in most modular systems, FM is different, and it's like this here, like the through zero exponential or linear, which sounds a lot different than phase distortion or phase modulation. And I made like this little setup here where everything gets FM'd from everything else, and we're only gonna listen to oscillator A. I'm gonna set these other ones to ratio mode. And then this is what FM sounds like in a modular system most of the time. Like just very harsh, very quickly, and very noisy. Let's also put a little EQ down there so we can see what's going on. And maybe a limiter in the end, just in case. But it's really fun to work around with this, to play around with this, and do some kind of feedback chain. So now A is FM'd from B, B is going to be FM'd from C, which already gets messy. But you might notice every once in a while, like if I just move this ever so slightly, there are like certain parts where suddenly it starts lining up, I would say. Like there, just for a moment. And then we could have B being FM'd from C as well. Oh no, we already have that. I mean C being FM'd from A. And now we've sort of created this crazy feedback chain, and it just sounds like very noisy. Ooh, and sometimes it does that. But yeah, you've now created very like FM noise, just very aggressive FM noise. Obviously, we can play around with the pitch and the ratio of these a little bit. But you very quickly end up with absolutely strange harmonics that just sound super strange, like, and odd and weird, and you might be able to do some cool stuff with this. You also end up with yoi type stuff. But yeah, it can quickly get very bright, and you gotta be careful. It immediately explodes again. But I guess you can do some yois with that. Now add Bismuth to this in the end. Yeah, to make it sound nice again. No. Just my favorite scale for this kind of stuff. I don't know if that's gonna help, because it's so intense, but I will try. A little bit of the unison, some of that, some of this, maybe making something like that, a little less of that. It's not gonna help. I guess. That's kind of nice. A little more depth. I'll put you before the limiter too. Yeah, I guess that's kind of makes it a little bit better. Let's increase your intensity a little bit of scoop as well. This one was the yoi. Decay is a bit long. Why not? Yeah. Had to try it out. Make this brighter. Yay. But yeah, then to go a little further with this. So I was messing around with this the other day. No, I didn't vibe code this. The beautiful people at Lunacy Audio programmed this and designed it. And it's part of their Beam multi-effects plugin ecosystem, where you can use it together with all the other cool effect sounds. So Ben Jordan also made a plugin with them, like another effect that can be standalone and inside their Beam thingy. Yowie. Okay. It didn't. Yep. That's a joke. That is a joke right there. Okay, let's change these all to police department. And then we can actually make some cool growls. And I always forget how to do the regular FM growl, and I just need to like play around a little bit to figure it out. But just in general, just like having these like 3 oscillators with your basic shapes and all these FM settings just like set up like this is a really nice FM playground to like play around with. Like, let's go back to a low E. We got some nice normal FM, kind of soft. Yeah, PD, because phase distortion, police department. Acronyms. And then we could FM B with C. It becomes a little more complex. We could also FM A from C on top of what's already happening. Kind of becomes a little growly. C could be FM from A, then we have a cycle again, like a feedback loop. It gets very bright very quickly, but not as noisy and chaotic immediately as it does with the FM mode. B could also be FM from, like B could also be FMing C. That gives us some brightness. And then obviously we can play around with all their shapes and try out different waveforms. Usually basic shapes are like really nice for this, and change their pitch. And I think for more of a growly sound, if I recall correctly, it's kind of nice if the first FM operator, this guy, that's FMing A, is kind of high, like something like up here. But then that gets FM'd with another low sine wave. Nope, that's the wrong one. And you can kind of see what's happening here. Like you see these peaks that are created. I'm gonna move them a little higher, like up there. And if I bring in FM from C, you can kind of see how they're moving apart, like to the left and to the right. Which is kind of what we do when we take like a Foreman filter or like a peak filter to do like a EI for a growl. So you're kind of getting that same movement in frequency, where it's like got these peaks in these positions that sound Foreman-y, but only by doing FM. That's kind of the idea. And then this one's just kind of the overall strength. That's kind of a yoi. So that's the just only FM way to growl, sorta. I remember an old Seamless R tutorial where he did a similar thing in Citrus, but he also went in and added some more harmonics in here. Kind of like he just went like bzz and bzz or something like that. Now it kind of like already just does this over here. There's definitely some yaw. And oh, this also makes it nice and bubbly. Again, you can see those peaks splitting up and like going left and right. It's definitely yawing. If you play around with all of these different things together, you can arrive at some kind of acceptable growl. just with all these different things. Just by combining those things. And then like obviously we would modulate some of this. Ooh. And then run that through a filter that accentuates those vowel-y frequencies even more. Crispy. This now needs a separate sub as well. Maybe the volume could be modulating a little bit as well. And then if you combine all of that with, oh, first of all, we could put Bismuth back on. Get you back on E and not that bright. Hey. Oh, the shift was up. That's why it was so bright. Nice. Oh, and the scoop. Sweet. Yoop. Ooh. That is strange and glossy. But if we combine this kind of stuff from Serum with the kind of Skrillex classic growl chain, we should get some really cool overall result. Let me just add a little auto filter here on bandpass on 24 with a little bit of motion. Sorry, now we just ended up at just basic growl synthesis, but every once in a while, you just gotta. Saturator and 3 OTTs. Oh, AU5 is here too? Hell yeah, we got everybody here today. I love it. Okay, we got some motion here. Maybe I want another EQ here also to do like a high frequency notch, because that sometimes sounds cool too if we take a little bit out there. And then we need the old phaser from the legacy Ableton effects. For that. Nice. And it is some kind of growl. But now we kind of gotta go back here into the FM section and play around with all those parameters to fine-tune that growl. If we do a little bit of that FM feedback, where like A is FM from B, B is FM from C, now C gets FM from A a little bit, we get a little more brightness, a little more bright noise. Maybe actually adding some noise too might be a good idea, just a little bit. And maybe this gets modulated by the sub-oscillator. So it just like flutters in this really fast speed. Kind of like that. And we're kind of on our way to some growls. And then again, playing around with, that's too much, the position of these. How much sub. The pitch of these. The FM strength. And how much they're moving. And in which direction. So I did that the other day a couple times, and I have saved some nice presets of that. Let me just show you. User libraries, it's just, the folder is just called that from when I made the album. And scroll growl PD evil. Let's see what that result was. Yeah, I was trying to like not go for super growly and raspy, but more for this much power type growl. Need to add the E. Yeah, I think in this one I also added like a EQ that's like a little formant shaped as well. And there is a corpus, but it's not doing the bit crushy thing. It's just adding a tiny bit of hollowness to the whole thing. And then I think there's a better one as well that's a little more crunchy sounding later on here in this folder. Nice. That goes a little more into the proper growl direction. And it's similar stuff happening here. Like I add a little bit of additional harmonics here just to... Because it's kind of like going towards a saw wave, right? The more I'm adding these. So it is making it a little more buzzy. Adding that crunch. The noise is quite loud. Yeah. Gotta be really careful with not doing too much. Nice. And obviously the phaser position. Really matters. Yee! A 7-minute drop challenge, 6 or 7 minutes. No, not today. I also really need to go to the bathroom, and I've been holding up on it because I was like, wanted to check how long I've already been streaming and for how much longer I want to go, because I also have to do some other stuff today. Let me see, how long has this been going on for? Almost 2 hours? More than? Oh God, almost 3? Sheesh. Yeah, stream will remain online. I'm also gonna download that so I can edit some bits together. But I do have to also like get back to work on just stuff in general. And on new videos and everything. Let me check one more of these. I called this one because I guess it was the best one, maybe. Yeah, this one had some good beef. I just started and go in here and add some random. It kind of adds the bubbliness. But if it's too much or if it's too low, it's not bright enough. Up here is kind of nice. Yeah, that's a good one. Oh, we'd love to see you go through the Bismuth preset pack if you have time. Love from Canvas and the Lunacy sound design team. Hey! Also thank you for the £5. I need to install the latest Beam and Bismuth version first, because I only have the presets I made in the version I've installed right now. Maybe I can do that real quick. I just don't want this to like take forever. So I'm gonna turn this over here so you can see my passwords that I'm typing in. And let me download the latest installer. Let's see if I can get this to run. And also let me close my Ableton in the background real quick and do the install and everything. All right. Okay. I'm gonna update my installer, my Beam and Bismuth version real quick, so I have everybody's presets. I watched the little preset demo video though, where they showed some other ones and it looked really cool. Effects installer, all standalone effects, yes. Download. Skadoosh. I just have the screen cap off right now because I don't want you to see my passwords or something. I wonder if I can put on some music in the back so it's more entertaining for you. So there's something fun I made recently that I can just play in the back, because I also got to go to the bathroom. I'm just going to install it, open up Ableton, drop in a song, let it play, then I might go to the bathroom. Passwords never been simulation. No, my passwords are way out there. They make no sense. And they're very, 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 very long. So brute forcing isn't going to be that possible unless quantum computing gets really good. And I remember I read a thing about that where hackers, especially malignant hackers, are gonna they collect login information even if they can't crack the passwords yet. Like especially if brute forcing didn't work because the password's too long or too complicated, they still save your information and wait and hope that eventually computing gets so good that it gets way easier and way faster to crack really long passwords. And if we're ever there, then we need to, companies will need to find other ways to protect accounts than just simple passwords that you type in. Obviously, there's 2FA. There'll always be 2FA, but I just thought that was like an interesting thought in general. All right, let me see if this worked. Let me see. Beam. Do I now have the new Gemstones? Yes. Oh, and oh. That's cool. Should have done this from the start. Just put my voice through this. Seeing you in Atlanta recently was my wife in my last show for a while before we started a family, and wanted to say thanks for being amazing. Oh, that's so cool. Also, congrats. That's so sweet. Starting a family. Let's go. Now it's a lecture. Yes. Nah. Yeah, let's just put my voice through some of these presets. Crystal shards. I'm gonna just load up this one for now. Hello. I'm gonna just put the mix on 100% so that, yeah, you don't hear me twice. Shimmer just does exactly that. Adding some nice shimmer. There's a lot in here. Huh? Hello. Woo. Oh. What's the macro doing? Washes the sound into a gorgeous bed of pads. Oh. This is fun. Aquatic keys. Oh, gotta put the mix all the way up. Ooh, macro does decay and wash. Oh, very bubbly. Whew. Ow. Sorry, this is very fun. Okay. Before we go more into the presets, I gotta go to the bathroom, and I want to see if I can leave you with a tune until I come back. This camera just looks better. I know. Have a look. Oh yeah, why not? This one is from the Slam online class, where I made a remix. Someone suggested a vocal, and then I would kind of make a remix together with the class and explain everything as I'm doing it. And someone picked the Ocean Avenue by Yellow Card. So I had to remix that. And because the vocal was kind of like 173 BPM, just turned into kind of a drum and bass remix. The drop isn't anything dramatic, but this is like done in real time in the class while explaining all kinds of different techniques and arrangement and such. So I will be right back, and I'm just going to leave you with this.
There's a place off Ocean Avenue where I used to sit and talk with you. We were both 16 and it felt so right. Sleeping all day, staying up all night. Staying up all night. There's a place on the corner of Cherry Street. We would walk on the beach in our bare feet. We were both 18 and it felt so right. Sleeping all day, staying up all night. Staying up all night. If I could find you now, things would get better. We could leave this town and run forever. Let your waves crash down on me and take me away. If I could.
Yeah, it's like a cute little drum and bass thing. It's like dance, main room, melodic-ish drum and bass. I don't know how to call this subgenre. I always call it bubblegum drum and bass. All right, let's look at more Bismuth Beam presets. Beam presets featuring Bismuth in the new expansion called Gemstones. A lot of Eufy, Canvas, Infowler. Oh, that's awesome. Polaris, Eccentric, Marsix. Who else made presets? Yeah, that's everybody, I think. That's awesome. Nice. And me. Okay, I think we're just gonna put in a saw wave for now and see what it does to it. There's a little bit of description coming with each preset, and it might tell you what key it's in. Like this one's tuned to C major, and the macro creates like a washout with more reverb. Turns virtually any input into the most gorgeous bed of bells, ear candy and luscious string melodies. Warning, do not use on under 8 hours of sleep. I see why. Because you start hearing voices in it, right? Also, Maniac Check. Hi, Virtual Riot, can't wait to see you at Beats for Love in Ostrava this year. Yes, super down. That's gonna be really cool. Sorry, I could just listen to this for hours. Yeah, I think if I was sleep deprived, I would hear voices in those particles or something. Oh, that's cool. Atmosphere. Almost fell asleep while making E minor. Macro change the tone and add noise to the sound. I don't know what's happening there. Is this speed? There's like some speed modulation happening here. Is it this? Oh, here. Yeah, the envelope. I knew it. Because it like slowed down and I was like, what is happening? That's so cool. Just so you all know, I'm just playing this. I'm just putting this saw into this. That is really cool. Oh yeah, link in the description. So you can get Bismuth as its standalone plugin, and then also it's like a part of the Beam ecosystem now, as one of the effects down here. And this is kind of like you kind of like split the frequency path here into these different beams that then join in again. I can just show really quick actually if you have never used this before. Let me just load the default real quick. By default, it's like these two here. But if you had nothing, just like this, then you could, like if I place one effect here, and then I grab another effect, like this reverb, goes either before or after. And at any point here in this beam, I can click this little fork button. And then if I click that, I can, oh yeah, I gotta click and drag, I forgot. You can drag from here, and then either go over here or over here. And that creates a parallel path that you can put more effects onto. So now I'm putting like a little filter here. And then in the end here, like if I click on this, for example, if I just click here, that's the volume for this path, and the pan and the mid-side mix, or the volume for this path, so we can like mix them together. And if you want to delete that, then that's over here. Obviously, that's going to delete whatever is on those paths, so you got to be careful with that. Back to the presets. Sparkly arps. Delay feedback down here. Oh, that's nice. Oh, this is for drum loops. Macro new groove. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I guess I should load up a drum groove so we can try that as well. What do I have here? That's kind of a good loop. Let's do that one. Put you over there. Also, let me put like a limiter on the master just in case. Nice. What are you? Oh, I might have gone out of this. Botanicals. Right in the botanicals. C major. Great description. I'm getting slight Portal 2 vibes. There's no name yet for the last splice pack. And also, I might talk to them about like potential future collaborating, like working on more stuff or something. Cabinet splitter, best used on atonal basis to harmonize them in a way that doesn't sound like Weenie Hut Jr. C sharp major. Ooh. Oh, Jesus. I mean, this isn't an atonal bass. Right now, this is just a saw wave. Can we put like a weird Woo! I do kind of like the fluty things it can add. It feels like a overblown flute stab. That's really cool. I would just want to sample those out with like maybe without the reverb. Those could turn into really cool stabs by themselves. I see you like using the envelope follower a lot. I should have done that more in my presets. That's really cool. Makes it very dynamic. Caustic. Rhythmically refract your sound. A sharp minor. Where's the A? Okay. This is the input. Oh, that's what's doing that. That's really cool. I like that movement it does. Choral laser. Sparkled and glassy melodic textures on basses, piano, or other synths. D sharp minor. I think you did a similar thing I did here. Or no, this is mid and... Okay, oh, this is more sides. Cool. So that's like how the parallel thing worked here. I did a similar thing where I did two different bismuths left and right with different notes that they're playing. Let me see if I can find that real quick. It's probably under user. Stereo color. Yeah, I just like split it up here again, and then this is all the way to the left, and this is all the way to the right. And then they just have different notes, but together they make like kind of a minor scale. And then that creates... Why are we not hearing anything? Oh, it's in... I forgot it's in E. Didn't make mine as intense as they could have been because I wanted to be careful with it. Yeah, maybe the volt should have been stronger at the input stage. Yeah, so that kind of like pans one of them left, one of them right, and then it goes through haze for like a little more stereo kind of thingy. Chrome Alien? Oh yeah, I remember loading that one up earlier. Sheesh, I just hit a note. This is creepy. I'm scared. Let me go back to a more normal sound. I kind of like it kind of turns it into a super saw as well. I like what it does there. Oh yeah. Regular ass color based preset, but you need those too. Ooh, there's a lot going on here. What is that? Am I still in the folder? Yes. G major. That is really cool. That reminds me of some Yule type stuff. Yule. Butterflies. Oh, this one's for drums? Maybe? Let's put you over here. Wow, okay. It like adds a whole new groove to it? What is going on? Adds a bass line and fluttery, mysterious Atmo synth. That's actually really cool. I guess the macro is the loudness of the bass line that gets added. How? That's really sick. I guess this is the bass line happening up here. That's so cool. Wow. I am impressed. Rhythmic duplicator and modulator. So much cool stuff in here. This is mental. I think for this one I had the macro fade in the top layer. What was the point of this one? Taps and Bismuth, oh yeah, they're like Bismuth, they're both creating resonances in E minor. And then let's put that back on a saw. Yeah. I keep getting kicked out of this. Oh yeah, this one was really cool. It's like a whole ambient patch just from one saw wave. Oh yeah, what do you need? E minor. I thought that was kind of nice. Another one with that needs soft pads, kind of like this. Hee. Folding waves, F major. I love the amount of motion that these have. It's like a lot of sequencing going on inside of them. Ooh, and add a little bit of drive over there too. What do we have here? Fret encore. Make your drums hit harder and add an atonal techno rumble to it. Jesus Christ. I just put the saw through it. What is going on in here? Oh my god. Let's put it on the drums. It's so intense. My god. Just like a single one shot, I think, through this one is the way to go. It's like put like a sample through it, like a single kick or a snare, and it just creates madness. That is so sick. Glassify. Classy artifacts when you put it on. Change octave in the Bismuth node for a different timbres. Oh, cool. It's like warped, and then we can like... Oh, this one needs a little bit of drift too. For stereo width. Nice. Granular melancholy. Works best on consistent rhythmical elements. Adds a somber resonance to whatever you put on. Well, at first I'm gonna... Okay, what are we on? We're on C. Rhythmical elements. Let's try the drums for now. What if we... That's nice. Big fan of that. Where were we? Down here. Heliotropic droplets. Layer these with your basses to instantly give them that watery feel. Ooh. Nice. Intro candy. F sharp minor. Perfect for adding some color to your intros and outros. Yes. E major. Alright, did not expect that. That is really cool. There's a lot going on here. Again, the input is just... Damn. Nice, I like the variation in the motion rate. Oh, that's a good idea. I should have played around with that too. Ooh. Oh, those are really nice. Oh yeah, the melodic helper is the one that'll like play along to your melody with like an accompanying melody sort of by using the frequency shifter inside of it. Just gonna do one more example with the analog starter. That's really nice. Maybe a little softer. Can we make you just like... Nice. Then you a little duller. It's like adding that one. And then the macro just turns the reverb up or down. Oh, it's an F. Plucks love this preset. Nice. Mom's old TV. I like that shaky vibrato. Mystery Train, Virginia sound into a weird triplet pad with its own chord progression. Oh, sorry. Your presets are just wild. I keep going back to the main presets. Ooh, that looks pretty. Oh. Macro mystify it. Okay. Oh, I like the granular octaves in there. Cool little buzzy things. This is just gonna take forever. I'm gonna do like one or two more, because then I gotta get going and actually work on some stuff. Ooh. Nice drive as well in there. Pixel stretching. Ooh, what is happening here? When you're stuck and need to spice up what you're working on. Works really well with pianos. Okay, I'll have to try that real quick. Let's get Keyscape. Just load up a grand piano. Let's do the cinematic one without the reverb. And did it say this was F minor? G major. Oh. Damn, this like really reshuffles everything. Oh, this is kind of like the mix. I feel like this needs some multiband compression afterwards to make it bring everything back up again. Very portery. Sorry, there's a lot of low end from the piano. Should probably just... Really cool. Much Botanica. We're just gonna keep putting piano into stuff now. Oh. Oh, yes. Okay, Yuffie says, trust me, put Therian Lullaby on a drum loop at full dry wet and then loop it in Ableton. That's Canva's favorite. Okay. All right, we're gonna do that one last. Wait, is it not in here? Therian Lullaby? Or is it just in like general and like all of them? Did I type it wrong? Or is it a Bismuth individual preset? This is really nice on piano. So good. Okay, yeah, let me load that one up real quick, just individually. And then I'm gonna call it for today. Okay, this one. On a drum loop, you said. Volume. Ooh. Low end. Gotta do a little more of this, but I hear the vision. This needs a little bit of... How does it keep sounding different every time I'm looping it? Sounds like it's different every time it's looping. Yeah, it's like somewhere between something spacey and Minecraft. What if we add some very slow motion? Oh, it's the random pattern in the ARP. Of course. And it's really slow, but with very long decay. Yeah, speeding up and slowing down the motion is really nice with this too. I can kind of turn the sub off by shifting everything up. That was really pretty. That was a great ending to this whole thing. All right. And with that, I have to leave you for today. Thank you all for checking out the stream and your support if you've gotten the preset. And even if you haven't, that's totally fine. If you want to get it, the link is in the description. It is an effects plugin, audio effect for Windows and Mac. Have a good rest of your days, or good night, or good morning, depending on what time it is for you right now. Thanks also to everyone who stayed for this entire stream, and thank you, Busty, for moderating the chat. Thank you, Yuffie, and everyone else also who made presets for this and helped the launch go well. Thanks to Lunacy Audio for bringing this concept to life in a plugin